get right into this. And I'm going to start this off by saying, here's a drinking game. Hopefully you're not listening while we're recording this during the day. But here's a drinking game for you. Every time John mentions something that you've already heard him talk about a million times on every podcast he's ever been on, you have to drink. Remember, this is his book that he wrote in 2017?
Yeah, 18, I think.
It came out in 2018, I think?
Right. You're right.
And so this is interesting to me because I haven't paid attention to the book, obviously, but I've been listening to him pretty closely for the last 3 years.
Yeah. There's similarities.
I wonder if, because he wrote the book, he got these thoughts in his head, and that's why he repeats them over and over again, or if he's just been saying this to anyone who will listen. Anytime there's a microphone in front of his face, he's been saying all of these things nonstop.
All right, well, we have to assume if you're listening, you know a lot of the backstory, and that's a good question because anything can get lodged in this guy's head.
Yes.
Words, phrases, sycophant,
Sure, yeah. We've seen this.
Yeah.
It usually comes and goes.
Right.
But some of these stories just goes and goes and goes and goes.
Ain't that the truth?
All right, let's start off with the foreword to the book. John reads the foreword, and this is the very first thing that he does.
I dedicate this book to my 3 wonderful kids, Knight, Lily, Belle, and Oscar.
Those kids sound like fucking losers. You're dedicating this book to those fucking losers? I heard that his kids are all losers. Did you hear about this? Yeah. Producer Chris, what a bunch of losers.
But they're good looking, right?
For a guy who doesn't want his kids brought up ever, he sure brings them up a lot, doesn't he?
All right, I got a little something for this if you want to play my number 2. And I edited, you can tell when the 2 clips are joined together. You'll be able to tell.
Okay.
I dedicate this book to my 3 wonderful kids, Knight, Lily, Belle, and Oscar. I have dreamed about having you since I was a little boy, and you have surpassed all of my expectations. Still, the most important part was being a father to my 3 wonderful kids, Knight, Lily, Belle, and Oscar.
Those kids sound like fucking losers. Is he talking about his loser kids again?
Well, I put that together because that's less than a minute apart in his read. And
right.
He has to say them in order because I think he's going to forget one of them.
Right,
so it's like dabble, babble, and flop or something like that. Wink and blink and nod, whatever. But it's such a strange thing to say. I dreamt about having you since I was a little boy.
That was very odd.
Yeah.
And you came out perfectly. I mean, the one kid would say that they didn't come out perfectly. They might say God made a oopsie daisy.
God has a sense of humor, unlike John. Hey, to properly set this up, can you just play my number 1? Because this is him doing the title. Like, this is what he's famous for.
Audible Studios presents Easy For You to Say, written and performed by John Melendez.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's still got it.
He's got the energy.
He's still got it.
He only mispronounced a couple things.
Pamela Anderson. All right, so the book starts off with the list of accomplishments.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you'd think if you bought the book, you know what he's done.
Right.
And also, if you don't, then this is kind of a spoiler. Right? Wouldn't you rather start off with, I was a stuttering moron on Long Island?
Yeah.
When this happened and this happened. Instead, he goes through this. Now, I'm going to speed it up quite a bit here.
Good.
I'm going to do like what Croge likes to do out here.
Yeah. I thought of him when I listened to this.
Incremental speeding things up. But I think everyone needs to hear the list of accomplishments. We could guess what they all are.
Amongst the many things that happened to me, I became a cast regular on the Howard Stern Show, which I had been a fan of since I was a kid.
I got the chance to box, something that I always wanted to do, but for me, it was in front of a sold-out Taj Mahal. I've had 2 record deals and an MTV video. I lived the life of a rock star and rubbed elbows with some of the biggest stars in our lifetime. I wrote a song with Joe Walsh. I opened for Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, Collective Soul, Ted Nugent, and Cheap Trick all across the country. My album received a good review from Rolling Stone, and I got to guest star on Wings alongside Steven Weber and Crystal Bernard. I got to be in movies and work alongside Ashton Kutcher, Sean William Scott, and Rodney Dangerfield. As a big fan of National Lampoon, I got to write and star alongside Scandal's Bellamy Young in one of their movies. I have been lucky enough to direct stars such as Quentin Tarantino, Jack Black, Hugh Laurie, Charlie Sheen, and Gordon Ramsay. I've hung out with the Kardashians on a regular basis. I've toured the country with my comedy tour. I had the opportunity to be the head writer of the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar roast. I got to fly in Donald Trump's helicopter, Howard Stern's chartered private jet, and Jay Leno's private casino jet. Heck, I was writing for Jay when he performed at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and one of my video jokes even made President Obama laugh. Still, the most important part was being a father to my 3 wonderful kids, Knight, Lily Belle, and Oscar.
We heard you!
The only thing more boring than Stuttering John's accomplishments is Stuttering John. I can't fucking take it anymore. And this thing where he constantly brings up that he wrote a song with Joe Walsh. He has brought this up so many times. Has anyone heard this song? Is it a good song? Does anyone give a shit about it? Just writing a song with someone is not an accomplishment.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure it sucks.
And I have to point out in that, I sent you that in real time. I just called it like clumsy resume. Going straight into these life lessons. And I don't know if you want to play that or not, but he goes straight from telling you what he did into these hard-hitting life lessons.
Yeah.
And then it occurs to me, that's the whole fucking book. You just told us what you did and what you learned from it. Why is there a middle part?
Well, we're going to find out. That's a hell of a tease right there.
Yeah,
why does this exist? Coming up.
We can all be anything that we want to. It just takes hard work, belief, perseverance, and a little bit of luck.
All right. We can all be anything that we want to, is one of the life lessons like you were just talking about. Yeah. Then why isn't John successful at political podcasting? If he thinks he can be anything that he wants to be, Jimmy Dore has been on Joe Rogan. Jimmy Dore's got a huge show. Even Richard Ojeda has been on Bill Maher. What has John done besides get drunk on MSCS Media?
Yeah, I know.
With his political show.
He should just start with better beer and go from there. I mean,
right.
He aims low. Well,
the other thing that I find funny about this is he says, anyone could do anything they want to. You just got to work hard and you need a little bit of luck. Well, hold on a second. All right, time out. Isn't the definition of luck that not everyone gets it? Otherwise, it wouldn't be called luck. Yeah. You can do anything you want. You just need to be lucky. Well, okay. So should I continue to try to be a doctor and just hope I luck into it? Or what do you mean?
Can I prevent an accident? No. I mean, it's by definition.
So stupid. Yeah. And then I love the disclaimer he puts in the foreword right before he starts the book.
And one final note before we get rolling here. Much of what I've written in this book about the Howard Stern Show is how I experienced things and how I felt at the time I was there. The truth is that I will always love Howard, Robin, Jackie, Fred, Gary, Billy, Ronnie, Scott, KC, and Artie. We had a lot of great times and unfortunately some bad ones as well. Anyway, here's my crazy story. Enjoy.
So basically he goes, I'm about to motherfuck everyone who I used to work with and say outrageous things about them. But I just want to say, I still love all those guys. They're all the best.
Yeah, he said nothing really in a minute there.
I mean, it was a disclaimer to put it out there so that when Artie or Fred or like, Joe, how could you write that about me in my book? I said I loved you. I said I loved you in the book. Yeah, but there's 4 chapters about what a fucking shithead I am now. I mean, I don't know if that overrides it. It doesn't seem like it does.
Oh, you all know what's following when someone says, I know, I love the guy, but...
Listen, I got no problems with this guy except for the following problem. Let me just list off
Chapter 1.
Let me list off the following problems that I have with this guy. So, John starts off when he was a child.
Yes.
And how much he loved the Howard Stern Show. And why did he love the Howard Stern Show? Because Howard admitted to jerking off.
Yes.
And that was the thing that John could relate to. He couldn't relate to the success or the ability to talk on the radio and be interesting and compelling and productive. But when Howard's like, I jerked off last night. Hey! Yeah. I love this guy.
My hero.
And John says it was hard for him to get into jerking off because he was brought up Catholic.
Because in my Catholic upbringing, I would mark on my calendar how many days that I would do it each month and try to keep it down to like 8 rubs a month. But if I went over, I felt so guilty.
That doesn't make any sense, Rick.
Because of his Catholic upbringing, he could only jerk off 8 times a month. I don't think that's in the Bible.
I
don't
think a priest would ever tell you that.
I ain't got nothing but cheers, God. 8 days a month. 8 days a month. I'm spilling my seed.
Wow.
So I don't understand the point that he felt guilty if he went 9 days. Is there a difference if it was 31 days versus 30 days? We're doing calendar months here. We're just doing 4 weeks at a time.
Hey, he's got a sense of humor. It might be over your head, right?
Let's assume. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what he's talking
Catholic inside
about.
baseball.
Speaking of his sense of humor, he talks about why he liked Howard Stern is because it was just like Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Which is not true, but no. Okay, whatever. Howard's mentioned many times that he loved Mad Magazine growing up as a kid. So John shoehorns in this anecdote that doesn't add to the story or mean anything.
See, I was a huge Mad Magazine fan. And this show had the same irreverence. In fact, one of the ways my dad would get me to go to church with him every Sunday was that after Mass, he'd take me to the candy store where I'd get one package of candy and one Mad. I couldn't wait until the latest edition came out. The Stern Show reminded me of just that, Mad Magazine.
You could have just said I enjoyed reading Mad Magazine as a child. I liked that style of humor, and Howard Stern, was similar to that, and so I enjoyed it.
Well, if you have a boring anecdote, add more details.
Yeah, right. So then we'd get candy. I'd get one piece of candy, and I preferred a Tootsie Roll. But my brother over here, this fucking numbnuts, he liked the $100,000. Whatever, that's not the point. The point is, Mad Magazine comes out one day a month. I jerked off 8 times with every new edition of Mad Magazine, because that's the way that works. What else did you pick up on from the beginning of this book?
Sorry, you derailed me.
Yeah, that's all right.
I thought you were going to break into song again. Okay, so I was confused because, you know a lot more backstory and how, and he gives it to us here, how he came to be, but
yeah.
Is it Mitch Fatal, or would you play my number 5? I'm just confused.
When I was stuttering my way through NYU, I became friends with this wannabe stand-up comedian named Mitch Fatal.
Yeah. So Mitch Fatal and him went to NYU together. Mm-hmm. Fatal.
Yeah,
Fatel. Okay. Fatal.
So that's someone he could have corrected.
He pronounced it Fertel.
Right.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And
this is John Menendez, right?
Yeah, John Menendez went to school with Mitch Fatal. And it's interesting because after he explains that he's the reason why he got the internship, Mitch Fatal had that job, and then he got in a car accident, so he wasn't able to drive to it anymore. So Mitch was like, hey, I can't do this anymore, but my buddy John at NYU, he'd be great for this job. And listen to how hack this line is. And this is John trying to write jokes into his book. I don't think he got any help with that. I think there's a lot of evidence that John wrote this book himself.
He and I became good friends. He was interning for Howard, and his dad wasn't happy about the lack of pay. So I asked Mitch to hook me up with an interview if he ever decided to leave. And thank God he got into a major car accident, and I got the job. By the way, it's never been proven that I cut the brake line.
That's terrific. That's terrific. This dude's a cornball. I think the 10 years on The Tonight Show taught him how to make corny jokes.
Yeah. If nothing else. Well, that would lead nicely into my number 6, because he took Mitch Fertel's job.
Little did he know that my job of interviewing celebrities was what I'd been perfectly groomed for since birth. My 5th grade teacher wrote in my report card to my parents the following: John tends to ask outrageous and penetrating questions in class and stutters when excited.
Drink.
Yeah.
Wow, it's 5th grade teacher. You don't say, huh?
Well, we would get drunk faster if it was just every time he lied, because a 5th grade teacher would never say that he asked penetrating questions.
He asked a lot of penetrating questions this one.
What the fuck was that all about?
Stutters when he's excited. I believe she wrote that.
Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah,
and I'm sure the parents were like, we know. Why are you telling me this? I live with this asshole. Of course I know he stutters.
And he was also groomed from birth. To interview celebrities.
To interview celebrities. Little did Howard know he was making the best decision he ever made in his life by bringing me on as an intern to become the ultimate legend. It's now known in many circles as the Howard Stern and Stuttering John show. Yeah, as many people know. I love, too, that he's talking about when he used to listen to Howard Stern long before he was ever on the show. And he was even Zinging Gary Delabate back then.
Oh, yeah.
I used to always listen to Boy Gary, as they called him, argue with Howard, and I was like, Gary, man, shut the fuck up.
Boom! I love that his memory is, I'm 18 years old and I'm thinking like, hey, Gary, shut the fuck up over here.
In fact, I invented that phrase.
and then he has to shoehorn in another Gary joke. He's talking about the actual interview he's doing to get the internship. And apparently they're videotaping the interview. Love to see that, by the way.
I know, right?
Who knew that the whole time they were taping it? I couldn't have known. I was fixated on Gary's huge teeth, and I thought to myself, man, when Gary was a kid, his tooth fairy must have shown up with a wheelbarrow.
A, not a good joke. B, the Gary has big teeth thing isn't funny anymore, John. Move on. I know that you got a lot of laughs in studio when you used to bust his balls and talk about how big his teeth were, and I'm sure Howard gave you a lot of attaboys, but it's old and it's run its course.
Yeah.
Actually, that's actually a good way to describe Stuttering John. He's old, he's run his course.
Well, he's never run a course, but...
Okay, good point. He's actually beating a dead course is what he's doing.
He's always out of breath.
Now, the other thing with John that's fascinating to me is if anyone ever compliments him or laughs at a joke, he'll never forget it. Not only will he never forget it, he'll bring it up all the time. Now, we did a show, and I can't remember if this was a bonus show or if it was the regular show, but I remember Croge and I were talking about how, it was the bonus show when he was doing the MSCS interview. And he's going, Howard Stern never once gave me a compliment. He never gave me any positive feedback. He's such a dick.
Huh.
He was saying this over and over again, what a horrible person he is. And then he just goes and contradicts himself all over the place, which you will hear on this show as well.
I made him laugh for the first time when we were talking about my parking Robin's car. He asked me if I knew how to drive a clutch, and I said, yes, of course. That's easy. The gas pedal's on the left, right? He laughed, Robin laughed, and I felt at ease. I kind of got the feeling that he liked me from that moment.
Great joke. Yeah, I can see why Howard would be doubled over.
Yeah.
The gas pedal's actually on the right. You're thinking of Europe. This guy.
Yeah, this guy's great. Give him a raise.
So then Howard pays him a compliment after the first time he went out and did celebrity interviews. And they brought him in to talk about them.
But then something miraculous happened. When we got to break, Howard said, that was great, John. You're great on the air.
He never forgets a compliment, even though he says Howard never complimented him. And then Jackie complimented him.
When I was helping Jackie move some stuff into a 6th-floor walk-up apartment on 65th Street, he said to me, John, we thought Mitch was great and couldn't be replaced, but now it's like, Mitch who?
All right, if this really happened, Jackie was being nice.
Yeah.
Because Mitch was an intern, and Jackie goes, we thought we couldn't live without Mitch. No one's ever said, I can't do my job without this intern around. They're in the way. You're trying to find shit for them to do. Like, answer the phone. I don't know, man. Do something.
Yeah, the way Mitch baked potatoes was amazing.
Right. I mean, that was a big part of his job, and John even goes on to describe that. I'm sure Jackie's like, wow, man. We all thought the show was over when Mitch left.
Yeah.
And then you step in and just save the day. I can't even believe it. And actually, this is interesting because he's describing what he did as an intern for the Howard Stern show. And it starts off talking about how he was preparing, getting the food for Howard for the week. They'd have to prepare for him because Howard needs to eat his meals, and they're very consistent at the exact same time every day and the same food every day. So I sped this up too, but listen to John go from I would go grocery shopping for Howard to what it turns into by the end of this paragraph.
Every Monday morning, I had to go to the nearby bodega and pick up a 6-pack of Volvic water, 5 green apples, and 10 potatoes. I have to label the 4% with a date and take my order, flip or change in every 45 minutes. At 7 a.m., I work at the studio during a break, hand Howard's apple, flip the cassette that I pre-labeled and leave. I love being in the studio. It was just a bunch of cool dudes hanging around, shooting shit, and having a great time. It was way more intimate the old days. I leave the studio at Cold Jeans Diner downstairs, about 4 ounces of turkey. Throughout all this, I was logging the show on the computer and answering the phones. At that time, it was pretty much just me and Gary in the back producing the show.
Oh, he's co-producing the show now.
I clipped that too.
Yeah, it starts off with I had to go buy 5 apples, 10 potatoes, some turkey.
Not spend all my money on candy or mad.
Yeah. And then Gary would give me a specific allowance, and I had to make sure I found the stuff that was on sale. And then it turns into, I mean, it was just Gary and me running the whole show back there. Yeah. I don't know what they would have done if it weren't for us.
Holy shit. There's also a little more boasting sprinkled in if you'd play my number 8, because no one told me there was going to be boasting.
Even though wash hands wasn't on the prep list, most of the time I did it anyway.
This was the most insane thing. He explained how you prepare Howard's potato. And I didn't clip that whole part because it's so boring. I don't know why you'd write that in a book. And I don't know why I know about that. Like, so many people talked about preparing Howard's potato. I know all about it. But anyways, like, first you wash it off, then you dry it with a paper towel, and then it goes in the microwave, and then you do this, and you do that. And then at the very end he goes, and sometimes I'd wash my hands. He didn't put that in there as a joke.
No.
I don't know why that was included in there, and why sometimes. Why not all the time? I'm guessing only on the times when he took a shit that day.
All right, you want to analyze this?
Yes.
Let's go back to his disclaimer when he had to name every person in the studio, just saying the show. You could say the show. We all know who was on the show.
Sure.
We know who you're talking about. So he thinks, again, details make a better anecdote, a list. He has to fill time in a book like it's radio, you know?
Is that what it is?
I don't know, but so many details when less would be so much more, you know?
It does seem like he's trying to get to a word count.
Yeah.
And that's possible that
Oh, yeah.
they were like, you know what? Autobiography should be, at least this many pages. Like, oh, shit, I better talk about when I was taken to the store to get candy and Man magazines.
Yeah, right.
Or else I'm never going to fill this thing up. Within that piece that I sped up there, because it's just boring, he does say this.
It was just a bunch of cool dudes hanging around, chewing the shit and having a great time.
Again with the chewing the shit. Was there an editor who's like, John, listen, chewing the shit is not a term.
No.
You chew the fat or you shoot the shit, but you don't chew the shit.
He may have had trolls way back then, just like, John, you know what the kids are saying today?
Everyone's talking about how they're chewing the shit with each other. You want to get in here and chew the shit with us? That's the way he was bonding with the other guys, by chewing the shit, but not Jackie.
Yes, that was one of the places where Jackie and I bonded. We both loved to drink beer. We were the only two real beer drinkers on the show, and man, could we put it down. Hence the gut Jackie had. Trust me, it wasn't the food, it was the beer. I have that same gut now. Well, almost.
He's calling out Jackie for being fat, having a beer belly back then.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is the guy who wants to take shots at people for drinking beer and looking like shit because of it.
Mr. Toad making fun of Mr. Frog.
Right.
What the fuck?
Who are these podcasts? WAT.